Swan bit. Solely, and thus sorely, did he row the long distance off the disk of the sun into the dark of the piling-held dock, where many-legged water, and not just water life, lived, where he lived, when he could. For $54 he rented the boat, the tackle, the winsome boxed flies and inky camouflage. But what he really paid for was the dark under the dock, and the water animals, with their habit of crawling or clinging to a region that confounded him, where mornings he reached down and pried and sliced open and ate through the variously mollusked and non-mollusked on his own. He was not mad. He could not get out of his boat without a winch, commercial or otherwise, being legless. The charitable called him cripple, but born without, it was not a case of crippled from, but just himself crippled. He towed himself into the best spot under the dock and grasped at water life, its greeny shoots as misplaced or misaligned as he, and he became mad. Starfish, crab, spider, but not the minnow, he decided. The limbless minnow were not fair game. He left the minnow alone. If, while hauling up one of his catches, he tipped the boat too far and overturned, he, in his madness, hoped for the fish to save him, to help him swim even better than he with his strong arms like extra oars. A dolphin with a saddle on its back wasn't what he expected, but some fish floating under his exhausted middle, nudging him ashore for all his pains taken, those many crab hooks unbent around all those gills. No way could he remount his boat himself if he overturned. He needed at least a leg over. Birds that knew of his limblessness followed his rowing, or stood off waiting, or dove at his bait and tried to steal it. He grabbed for them, declaring them armless, the wing's foe as limbs. From the water, with such arms as he had from having no legs, he could grab the birds easily, and had, catching quite a few duck, and eaten them plucked and grilled over an iron pot lid filled with coals. This time, in this fog-bound dark afternoon, he grabbed and caught quite a big bird. Not that he had set out to. The bird had hissed and snapped at him and his 6 inches of crab bait, had hissed and snapped as if it were going to take the bait right out of the crab pot and sever his line, hissed and hissed until he hissed and snapped back. The bird lowered its neck at that, and so did he, while the boat floated closer. A lot of neck on that bird, a neck that could span the stretch, real swan. Mute? This bird spoke, wings breaking his grip, its beak leaking hiss. The battle went thus. The man sprang at the bird, oar and arm. The bird caught the oar blade in its beak and held on. The man levered it almost out of the water. Then the bird, with a twist, tipped the man off his boat, where he was perched, legless, in his absurd, hissing pursuit of its fine stuffing and roasting. The bird was bent double under his arm when he came up for air. Then its neck, like a lamppost, lost its height, and its middle went under where its legs landed with his own weight centered over it. The man rowed, he held tight, enough that the life of the bird matched his own in danger, and that they swam together possessed, toward the boat that the tide was taking an interest in. The swan's wings broke his grip, its beak snapped. Let's swim, its big feet flapping. He was hungry. The swan kicked with vicious complaint, and the man bit it in the neck. Then the bird curled around and bit the man so hard on the ear he bled. But still they kept hold of each other, the man to keep afloat, the bird in spasms over such a catch. When they met the current, both man and bird sank twice, and when they floated over the current-made shoal, the bird, sinking again, gashed at his arm until he let go, cursing and flailing. He let go and chose for the shore to swim for. The bird chose elsewhere, a fish, perhaps. It was a far shore. What fish saw him? By evening the boat made land, the bait sticky rotten, and the second oar dragging in the lock. The worry and tick of fishermen who feared seeing him in themselves, belly down in a crawl from the pushchair he afforded, still parked at the beach they infrequently frequented, propelled them to pull the boat in a week later. cutting at their lines with its shiftless float, its numbers soon enough pried off and scrubbed and painted blank all over. Why didn't they look for him? A man with such loneliness repels even the moon's face in water. He could swim, they said. They had seen him. The swan circles, some say, a certain spot.